Today I'm going to be working on the 65 Barracuda. I need to put a headliner in it, but when I went to move it yesterday so I could put it in the barn to put a headliner in it, I couldn't get it to start. Or more correctly, it'll start but then it dies. It's actually my son's car and he's going to need to drive it soon. So let's see what it's doing. You'll see that I'm not sure if you can tell on the video, but what happens is it kicks off and runs as long as I have it in the start position. As soon as I let it spring back to the run position, it dies. So, if we look at the schematic on this thing, what actually happens is, if I find the coil on the schematic, power comes through this wire that's labeled brown whenever you are cranking the engine. Whenever you have the key in the start position, you get full power directly to the coil. When you release the key and it springs back to the run position, then this one is energized, the dark blue, and power goes through the ballast resistor before it gets to the coil. This is a 65 Barracuda, so it's an old points and condenser system, and they do this so that you get full power to start the engine, so you have a good hot spark for starting. But then when you let it spring back to the run position, it goes through the ballast resistor to limit the amount of current that's able to get to the coil so that you don't burn your points up so fast. They want the points to last longer. If you had direct power all the time, your points would burn up too quickly. That's the purpose of the ballast resistor. But obviously, if the ballast resistor has gone bad and electricity can't flow through it, then when I try to start the car and have it in the start position, I'll be getting full power. The car will start. As soon as I let go of the key and it pops back to the run position, no electricity would be able to flow through here if this is bad. So the symptoms that I'm experiencing on the car right now would indicate one possible thing could be that the ballast resistor is bad. The easiest way to check that is to just bypass it with a piece of wire. So we'll go do that now. So if we open the hood and look for the ballast resistor, generally on Mopars the ballast resistor is on the passenger side of the car on the firewall right about here. And if I get the camera in here and look, it's difficult to see with all this crap in the way, but it's this ceramic doodad here, this ceramic bar thing that's on the firewall right there. And let's see if I can get a better shot of it through here. Yeah, that's it. I have all kinds of hoses in the way here. You can see it back in there. And it's got two terminals on it. It's got one right here and one on the other end of it, just like that you may not be able to see. There's just too much stuff in the way. But to bypass it, you can pull the plug off, and this spade lug has a hole in it. And then you can just take any piece of wire that you can find, strip the end of it like so, both ends, and feed it through that hole, which is going to be a real trick while I'm holding the camera. And then put the plug back on once you've got it fed through the hole. Alright, I think if I hold right there, you can see I fed it through the hole in the spade lug. And then I'm going to shove my connector back on there to hold it in place. Like, good grief, like so. Just shove the connector back on after I stuck the wire through the hole. I'm going to do the other end, and then we'll try to start the car. But I'm going to pause. Back in the car, I stuck the other end of the wire through the electrical spade connector on the other end of the ballast resistor and pushed the electrical connector back on there to hold the wire in place. So I've got the wire actually bypassing the ballast resistor out there right now. And if it starts, then that means you've got a bad ballast resistor. Okay, it acted like it might want to run. Look at that. Bypass the ballast resistor and everything works. So that ballast resistor must be bad. Which actually surprises me. I thought I had a bad connection at the firewall where the bulkhead goes through all the wiring goes through the bulkhead. But apparently it's a ballast resistor. I've actually, in situations where I got stranded away from the house before, cut a section out of the wire going to the horn and used that to bypass the ballast resistor long enough to get home. So this is a handy tip to know. Okay, just to double check things, I went out and I unplugged my wire from one end of the ballast resistor, and it appears now that the ballast resistor is working. So I don't know if it's acting flaky and me jiggling it made it make contact inside again, or if I've got a bad connection where the wires plug onto it, or if I've got a bad connection somewhere else that decided to suddenly make connection. I'll see if I can play with it while it's running and get it to die. There's the one end that I pulled loose. Okay, I would think if the problem were in the ballast resistor or at either one of the connections, me wiggling it like that would make it lose connection. So I really don't think it's inside the ballast resistor or at one of the connections going to the ballast resistor. I think it's at my bulkhead like I originally thought. Which I believe this side, I believe that blue wire right there is the blue wire for run that goes to the ballast resistor. But I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what I saw on the diagram. But this doesn't appear to be making it die either. So I guess I'll be happy that it's running and that I'm able to move it.